Good morning, sunrise. It is froggy out there, and looks like the installers are here. That's Maddie. Yeah, stop her from barking. But isn't that beautiful? Maddie, here. Isn't that beautiful? The sun burning through the fog. And we know by the fog moving across the water like this, we can feel it in the air. It's also cold this morning. And you can hear my roof going on. I hear the metal screws getting driven in. Anyway, sharing a devotion today, Romans 10:9. It also just talks about the drive yesterday at the bank and how God let me see that as I gained 1 minute driving into the parking lot, I had 1 minute until the bank closed when I said thank you, and it was over. 1 minute. 1 minute by faith, what God can do. And this is a moment with the same God, the only true and living God. I'm not the God of my life. That's not hard for me to admit when I look out and see what God has done. And if you look close, you can see birds. There went one flying through the air. You can see the trees. He gives us all that we need. You know, God sends the Bible says God sends the rain on the just and the unjust. In Romans, we've been studying that God is the justifier. That we are just by faith. And the Lord's just been leading me to teach the framework of faith and how God uses faith to even magnify himself so that the world can see who he is through us, which is demonstrating Christ through our life and the way we treat people, the way we respond to situations, and even moments like this when we pause to just take notice. God, this is a beautiful sunrise. It's different than all the rest. It actually feels more like fall, like winter's coming, but we know it's spring. And we also know that pretty soon that fog will lift. Pray for all the people driving out there, including my son on his way to work this morning on this froggy morning. Yeah, I just hope this encourages you this morning. I just thought this was such a beautiful sunrise to share on this crisp morning. Short sleeves, but it's chilly. And I think I'll mention this real quick. When I graduated college, or I was about to graduate dental hygiene school at WVUIT, it was WVIT back then, in Montgomery, West Virginia. Top-notch school for dental hygiene, and I just had the best instructors, and I was well prepared with the framework to begin learning by doing. That's what faith is like, right? Jesus is our framework, and we learn by doing. And it was hard after I graduated. I was used to dental hygiene school learning every instrument. I don't remember how many we had, 20, 30, I don't remember. But I used every instrument according to what they were for. There was the posterior mesial, the posterior distal, there was the incisor, the scalers, there was just root planings, fine scalers, just you name it. And my first job landed me with a periodontist, the hardest job in the world. And I went to work for him right along the Kanawha River in Charleston, West Virginia. And it was the best learning curve of my life. I would go home to my husband crying in tears. I'll never get more than 4 patients done a day. And my boss told me he'd give me a raise if I could get up to a certain number of patients a day and not lose any of the quality of the work that I was trained and training and learning and practicing how to do better but more efficiently. And that's what faith is. And the reason I started that story was one of my well-renowned, highly respected periodontal teachers, Pam. She told me in the hallway at graduation, she said, Karen, you've got what it takes to go to the top. You're going to do great things. If only you can fix your accent. Ooh, that cut deep. Because our accent is rooted in where we're from, where we come up, what we come up learning, how we learn to speak. You look at any, my husband used to say, Karen, you could take the same group of people, divide them out, and put them on each side of the mountain, go back and visit them in 10 years, and they have a different type of language or way of talking. Anyway, I took that to heart. But there are certain things you can improve on. And you hear me trying to do that now. Be conscious to hear your word pronunciate well. But there is also a relaxed state where you just talk natural and you are who you are. Not one time did God ever condemn me or hold me back for my accent. And I didn't have time to work on that. I was too busy trying to learn how to do dental hygiene the best that I could do in the working world. And I went all the way to the top of my field before I quit to raise my son. I was 2 weeks pregnant. 2 weeks from, I had 2 weeks before he was born, pregnant, that I quit work. Planned on going back in 5 years, but never went back because my husband's business took me a different route, and I just didn't have time to keep up with the continuing education courses. Just too busy. But that's the way faith works. And there was one other point I had to make there, but I lost it in my rambling. But anyway, this is already a couple minutes long, so I'll share this and wish you a very good day. And I appreciate the prayers, because today's the day I do have a couple righteous decisions to make, and I know I'll do the right thing in the right way and keep joy in my heart and stand in truth. So anyway, the devotions today is on Romans 10:9. Hope you read it, and I'm going to share the devotion pretty soon. All right, talk to you later. Bye.